Good morning. So you want to know how to build both strength and flexibility without compromise. Well, in today's discussion, we're going to be answering a really good question that came through on the Movement Mastermind online coaching group about just that. We're also going to answer a couple of questions, one on intermittent fasting and what effects taking in coffee, tea, and vitamin supplements will do to a fast, and also a couple of other questions about strength and conditioning. All that and more coming up right after this. We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image. All upper body strength. What's going on?
That's right, it's all good.
Oh, sorry. I got Richie behind the thing freaking out up there.
You guys might have to repeat that again, it was on mute.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Apparently we were on mute that whole time. Oh, Richie. Okay. So today we're talking about bent arm. Sorry, what are we talking about?
We're
talking about how to develop strength and mobility at the same time. I'm not going to go back through and repeat everything I just said, but we'll jump straight to the point. We've had a question come in overnight from one of our Movement Mastermind tribe who asked us if it was a good idea to pair the back bridge mobility training with lower body, which is squatting and deadlifting. And the answer is that it's not. And the reason for that is because when we do lower body training, either barbell squatting or barbell deadlifting, we're asking the body to create rigidity in the trunk area. And it's necessary because we're loading quite heavily the spine and we want to make sure that we're bracing through the core. And to go ahead and ask the body whilst we're resting to then create a lot of flexibility and mobility in that area would certainly compromise the body's ability to, the body's bracing mechanism in that core. I keep referring to this area because it's that trunk area. So what we need to do is think about strategic ways to put the mobility into your workouts without compromising the area of the body that you're training. Rad, what do you have to say? Because there was certainly some debate this morning in our discussion between the three of us.
So mobility has been my biggest journey over the past 4 years or 5 years, and I've put more research into it than any of us here, I think. And what I've learned is, first thing I'll say is I agree, you won't get as flexible as somebody that doesn't do strength training and only focuses on flexibility and mobility. And in the same way, I think you won't get as strong as somebody that only focuses on strength training. But at what cost does it come at? And then the only thing I'll say about that is I just wonder, because when you look at Olympic weightlifters, those guys are some of the strongest people in the world. They're also some of the most flexible people in the world. They're absolutely amazing what those guys can do. But then you can argue they're professional athletes and they train for 8 or 10 hours a day. So who knows what you can achieve if that's the kind of training that you do, you know? I mean, you were telling me that Dmitry Klokov warms up for like 2 hours or 2.5 hours before he even does.
His workouts are like 3 hours long. Yeah.
So what I've found is a couple of things. Number one, and the most ideal way to do things would be to do strength and mobility in a completely separate session. So if you do your strength training first in the morning and then you do mobility in the afternoon, that would be the ideal way to train. And I agree, I do believe that, because then you don't have to worry at all about what you're stretching in the afternoon. There's no consideration to how it's going to affect your strength training. We have found that interferes too much with our professional life when we do that, and I would like to revisit one day when the time is right and we've got all of our business humming along really well. I definitely want to go back to doing 2 training sessions in a day because it produces better results. But for now, we've decided not to do that, and so we train for 1 session in the day, and now that has forced me to find the better way to do stretching and strength training in the same part of the workout. And I find that I'm getting better results myself from doing it stretching between sets of strength training, which means the only way to do that without sacrificing strength gains is to stretch different muscle groups, like what you said.
Yeah.
Another way to do it would be to do all your strength training first and then all your stretching second, and I experimented with that, and I think that's a better way to do it. So you do all your strength training and then you finish the workout with all your stretching, but it just makes the workout take longer because you have to rest between strength training. You have to. You can't just do a set of your horizontal push and then a set of your horizontal pull and then go straight back. So rather than rest and do nothing, I would rather rest the muscles that I'm working and stretch something that's not even a part of that workout.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm doing it that way.
Yeah, and I think that works, but you also have to be aware of the systems, the bodies, the movement patterns that you're working on for the day, and make sure that you aren't compromising those. With the exception that there is a caveat to that, which you've sort of said. What are your priorities? What is your priority? Sorry, priorities is not a plural. What's the number one thing that's going to give you the biggest result? Because I can guarantee you that if you have restrictions in your body and you are primarily focused on building strength, which I know a lot of people are. Strength is a real ego booster. It does deliver a lot of confidence. It makes you feel good. The training makes you feel good. There's a very, very linear path to progression with strength training, meaning that you can generally, if you get your programming right, always see good, solid improvements from day to day. Obviously, there's lifestyle factors that come into that if you have a bad night's sleep or whatever else. But it's a much more linear process than training for mobility, so it's really rewarding. But I can guarantee you that if you take some time off, you pull your foot off the gas for the strength training for a moment, a brief moment in time, which is 6 to 12 months, which quite frankly, guys, is a brief moment in time for the majority of us, you will see massive potential upside because of the unlocking of the body, the improvement in your movement patterns and things like that. And I certainly found that it made things like squatting a lot more comfortable for me to go back to the drawing board and stop prioritizing squat. I used to squat 4 times a week because I really liked developing strength in the squat. And going back to the drawing board and now coming back at it and attacking it again with a newfound mobility, it certainly feels good, you know?
Yeah, and I think, if your goal is, if you want to get stronger or you want to get stronger and more flexible, and either of those goals you want to know how do I incorporate mobility, then I would say the way that I just described it before is the best way to do it. But if your number one goal is to get flexible, but you also want to work on your strength, then a really good way to do that is actually to stretch the same muscle groups that you are strength training between sets, but you have to accept that your strength is going to be sacrificed for that. Your maximal output is going to be reduced, because what happens is on the nervous system, which Yanni touched on before, to prepare the body for a strength training session and to prepare the body for a mobility training session, it's a completely different message to the nervous system. So one is telling the nervous system to relax the muscles and let go, while the other is telling the nervous system to tense the muscle and shorten them.
Yep.
And when you can do both, but the strength is definitely going to suffer when you do them together. And it's actually very effective. Like if you want to stretch your bicep, if you want to increase the mobility and flexibility in your bicep, and you stretch it and then do a couple of sets of bicep curls and then stretch it again, that's actually a really effective way to increase overall flexibility and mobility in the bicep, but it is a very, very bad way to increase strength in the bicep.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. And look, guys, I think let's steer it in now to how we can make this practical for and applicable for the guys at home watching.
Yeah.
If your goal is to improve overall movement, then or minimize injury risk mitigation, things like that, then you've got to find a way to fit mobility training into your workout. And if you're time poor and you've only got an hour, like a lot of people do, to get to the gym and get it done, then I would certainly say that you should be prioritizing both of them 50-50, and you just got to accept that you might not get as strong as the dude who's just doing strength, but I guarantee you'll be lifting for longer than him.
Yeah, that's
you know, you'll be lifting for longer than him, and you got to look at it with a bit of a longer term mindset and stop looking at it so short term, which is hard because humans are inherently impatient. Just go do your mobility, do your stretching. Like we did. For many years, we did our 18-minute stretch routine before our workout, and we still saw really good results. You know, we saw really good results. So, I think that's what I would do, and then work on opposing muscle. Like I'm not talking about quad to hamstring. I'm talking about legs to upper body stretching programs when you're in between your rest periods, and it means that you got to be diligent. You're not going to be talking and mucking around during your rest period. I trained a guy just now. We'd finish a set of pull-ups and bang, straight down on the floor, and he was doing hamstring stretching drills. And then as soon as he finished the hamstring stretching drill, he'd be up doing his overhead press. We pair overhead push-pull on Thursdays, and then straight back down he'd do the other hamstring leg, you know. And then once he'd gone through the hamstrings, we started working on pancake drills, and it's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. There's no time to rest, you know. But you feel like you've had a bloody good workout by the end of it, and we get a lot done in an hour, you know. And these guys that we train here, it really has a positive impact on their movement and their ability over time, you know. We're very lucky at Unity Gym that we have a very, very good retention rate, and we get to see people like for years training, and our top guys have been working with us for many years. Like I'm talking, you know, in some cases 5-6 years. I've had clients that worked with me for 8-9 years before, and you see a real transformation over that time. It's quite phenomenal.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Yeah, you just have to play the long game, and yeah, keep at it.
Awesome. Good question, Bernard. Thank you very much for that one. Now, I'm going to quickly, before we wrap up, answer a couple of other questions from our Movement Mastermind. One is from, is that Baybucks?
Babao, I think it would be.
Babao, okay. I'm very sorry if I've got your name wrong. She's asking, what's the difference she's doing a 36-hour fast. And she's asking what the difference is between having black coffee, vitamin supplements, or fruit tea during the fast. She's basically asking whether it breaks the fast, whether it interferes with the fasting mechanisms in the body. She says that she doesn't feel any different, and she feels better when she has the vitamin supplements, the black coffee, and the fruit tea. Babao, if I've got your name right, I can guarantee you that the scientific literature on this does say that it absolutely breaks your fast. As soon as you take something like that in, it's releasing enzymes in the digestive system that then completely switch off the mechanisms of fast. The caveat to that, though, is that green tea and black coffee seem to still upregulate cellular autophagy, which is the benefit to fasting. So although what you're doing here is probably not affecting, you're still getting the caloric restriction benefits of fasting, but you aren't getting, like if you have fruit tea, then you certainly aren't getting the health benefits, the cell healing benefits of fasting to the same degree as if you just stick to water or there's pretty good research indicating that black coffee and green tea both, although they interfere with the fasting mechanism, they both, because of the polyphenols in the tea and coffee, seem to upregulate cellular autophagy anyway. So it sort of offsets the break in fast. Do you have anything to add to that?
No. No.
It's certainly, and the other thing is the green tea and black coffee certainly do help with hunger pains, which is probably what you're experiencing, which helps you fast a lot longer. In my experience with fasting, and I've taken fasts up to 72 hours, without coffee, without black coffee, it would have been very, very difficult. And at the moment I'm drinking green tea on my fast. Anyway, the other question is for Rad. You can answer this one.
Well, this is just specifically for the Movement Mastermind. So Dave's asking, with the Mobility Masterclass vid somewhere is said to do routine for 6 weeks, routine 1 for 6 weeks, and then alternate to routine 2 for 6 weeks, or am I dreaming? I'm going to try and make this a more general question for the rest of our audience that aren't in the Movement Mastermind and don't know what the Mobility Masterclass is. So it's a series of stretching videos that are designed to teach people how to do the middle splits, the pancake and the back bridge, and we have 2 workouts for each of those skills that they alternate between, and I recommend that you do each one for 6 weeks. So the idea is really, it's about periodization. I absolutely recommend that you periodize what you do with your stretching. You don't just do the same thing all the time, but that also means that you do the same thing for several weeks. You come up with a routine, something that is that has a real plan to it. And an example would be for doing the middle splits. I recommend that you stretch the hamstrings first. For the pancake, that you stretch the hamstrings first and then the adductors, and then you move into the pancake, because both of those muscle groups are a part of the pancake, and the hamstrings and the adductors connect together. So when one of them is tight, the other one will be restricted with how much mobility it develops. And I've found for me that and our students that's worked really, really well to develop that particular skill. So there's same thing with, for example, the back bridge, that you first focus on mobilizing the thoracic spine and then creating some general mobility in shoulder flexion, but just to warm up those areas of the body before you go straight into your back bridge. And then we do feet elevated back bridge first, and then we lower the feet down to the ground. This is all in one workout, so that you warm up the body first in a nice progressive way before you go to that full skill of doing the back bridge or the pancake or the middle splits or whatever it is. And yeah, when you've got that, so you'll have your workout that you've decided that you're doing, or if you've got our programs, you've got it all written out for you, and you'll do that same workout for several weeks. In our case, we do it for 6 weeks, and then we change. Absolutely. So back to you, David Evans. I would not be changing workout to workout. I'd be doing the same thing for 6 weeks and then change, and then you just cycle. And you can cycle back and forth between the same workouts. You don't have to be doing something completely different every time. I find quite often it's really good to just go between 2 variants of workouts back and forth for a little while until you really get an understanding of it and you can feel that something's improving, and then you need to change something. And then other times it is good to change something every 6 weeks. That goes on a case-by-case basis, and it depends on your training age and everything like that.
Yeah, I agree. It gives you a good opportunity to measure progress as well, which you can't do if you're constantly changing the stimulus.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, that's pretty much all we got time for. Very, very sorry about the sound technical issue at the start. We forgot to hit the unmute button. That's Richie behind there. He's doing a pretty tough job by managing the show. Now, we will be back tomorrow morning for a big weekly wrap-up. We're going to be answering another couple of great questions, and we will also, of course, turn this into a bit of a blog. So if you're not on a mailing list, get subscribed. And also, reminder that we are offering right now a very, very special offer, 30 days, or is it a month?
A month.
A month of free online training if you sign up to the Movement Mastermind and use the code word True Strength. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yep, in the checkout. True Strength will wipe the first month to 0, and you get to train for free. And then if you cancel any time within that first month, you won't be charged a cent. So get on it, guys. It is a great program. We got some great stuff coming up. Let's see you tomorrow morning. Take care. We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.